kind people over at Gravity Colors decided to send me some paints to test them out for you guys. For US customers, use coupon TSMUSA15 to get 15% off. This video is brought to you by thescalemodeler.com. In the first episode on the BMW i8, I started by preparing the body before primer. And now it's time to move on to priming. As this is a new primer that I never used before, I just do a quick test on my glove to see how thin it is or what the viscosity of this paint is, and it actually turned out to be really thin, so it's good to be aware of that. Start slow and don't go too thick, as when you go too thick it will bite into the plastic and create some ugly areas you need to fix. Now, I did go a bit too thick on the first and second coat. That's my mistake and I've learned from that, but for a first time trying this paint, it's not bad at all, if I might say so myself. Personally, I really do like these paints, though they might be a bit too thin for my taste, but this could also be that I'm not used to using paints this thin, and it might even work in my advantage, as thinning the paints down means you have more paint to use, and thinner paints go down onto the body a lot smoother than some of the thicker paints. So this might save you some time in cleaning up the primer before applying some color, and maybe not even needing to sand it down, as it will be smooth enough. Even though these paints were a lot thinner than I'm used to using, I was pretty amazed by the coverage. Usually the thinner the paint, the less coverage it has, but with the viscosity this paint has, it actually covers extremely quick. The primer is a bit less gray than I expected it to be when I saw it in the bottle, and applied onto the body it was more white than gray, and even over a black body it still covered extremely quick for being a whitish color. Also, it's important to note I'm not being paid by Gravity Colors to say any of these things. I actually am really positive about their products, and especially for you guys over in the US, that there is now a proper alternative for zero paints. And of course also for the guys in Europe that are not a big fan of zero paints or think they might be a bit expensive, these paints are also available in Europe and are not that expensive. They are great quality paints and they are still a growing business, but they are coming out with loads of new colors every month. Just like zero paints, these paints come pre-thinned and just go into the airbrush without any additional thinning. I used my standard setup using a Harder and Steinbach 2-in-1 Evolution airbrush set at 35 psi or 3 bars air pressure, using my Eurotech 20A air compressor. This is the setup I always use with the same settings. Nothing's changed, just the paint, but it works just as well. After applying this first coat of primer, I let it dry for 15 minutes. Now you could wait a bit longer just to be sure that it's absolutely dry, and then I moved on to the second coat of primer, and that's pretty much the same as the first coat, but as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I might have went on a bit too thick the first time, So I would advise going for 3 coats and doing 3 equally thin coats just to be sure that it doesn't bite into the plastic and create a wrinkly effect. After finishing off this second coat, I would suggest to let it dry for at least 1 hour before moving on to applying the color coats. As mentioned earlier, I am not being paid by Gravity Colors to say any of these things. This is my honest opinion, and I actually do really like these paints. Go to gravitycolors.com to see their full assortment of colors. US customers go to gravitycolors.com/USA/. Use coupon code hsMVY15 to get 15% off on your order. In the meantime, also don't forget to check out my online hobby shop, thescalemodeler.com. Also, don't forget to go to our Facebook page to keep updated on some in-between photos and stuff like that. Questions or suggestions, shoot me an email or post a comment, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.